What if I told you that right now someone could be using psychological tricks on you and you'd have absolutely no idea? Your boss, your partner, a coworker, even a stranger you met 5 minutes ago. These techniques are real. They're being used every single day, and most people go their entire lives without ever recognizing them. By the end of this video, you're going to know exactly what 5 of these dark psychology tricks are, how they work, and most importantly, how to spot them before they're used on you. Stay with me all the way to the end, because I've got something genuinely valuable waiting for you there. A special insight that ties everything together in a way that could seriously change how you navigate every relationship and interaction in your life. Don't skip ahead, because we're going to build up to it piece by piece. Let's talk about something that makes most people uncomfortable. Human beings are not as rational as we like to think we are. We tell ourselves we make decisions based on logic, based on facts, based on careful consideration. But the science doesn't back that up. Psychologists have spent decades studying how people actually make decisions, and the results are kind of unsettling. We're driven by emotion, by social pressure, by cognitive shortcuts our brains developed thousands of years ago. And certain people, whether they're aware of it or not, have figured out exactly how to exploit those shortcuts. These are the 5 dark psychology tricks that the most influential and, in some cases, the most dangerous people in the world use to get what they want. Trick number 5 is something called the illusion of choice. Here's a question for you. Why do people resist when you ask them directly for something? It's not always because they don't want to help. A lot of the time, it's because being asked directly triggers their need for autonomy. New section content. Their brain immediately starts calculating whether they're being pushed around, and the natural defense mechanism is to say no. So what do the truly skilled manipulators do? They don't ask a yes or no question. They offer a choice. But here's the thing, it's not a real choice. Both options lead to exactly the outcome they wanted in the first place. Let's say someone wants you to come to a meeting. Instead of asking, "Can you come to the meeting?" they ask, "Would Tuesday morning or Wednesday afternoon work better for you?" You're now thinking about your schedule. You've mentally already agreed to attend. You just picked a time slot. That's the illusion of choice, and it's everywhere. Retail stores do it. Politicians do it. Parents do it with kids. He who gives the options controls the outcome, even when the other person feels completely in charge. Trick number 4 is what's known as the yes ladder, and it's one of the most powerful social engineering techniques ever documented. Here's the principle. Getting someone to agree to something large is incredibly difficult if you go straight for the big ask. But if you've gotten them to say yes to a series of small things first, saying no to the big thing suddenly feels psychologically inconsistent. The brain hates inconsistency. It wants our actions to line up with our previous behavior. So someone who's been strategically building up a string of small agreements is essentially paving a road straight to the outcome they want. Think about how he'd use this in a workplace setting. He doesn't walk in and demand a raise on day 1. He starts by asking to join a project. Then he volunteers for extra responsibility. Then he asks to take the lead on something. By the time he makes the big ask, his boss has already mentally categorized him as someone she says yes to. The yes ladder isn't just manipulation, it's also a legitimate persuasion skill, and knowing it exists means you can use it ethically and protect yourself from those who don't. Now remember, I promised you something special at the end of this video. We're going to get there. Keep watching, because what's coming is going to pull all of this together in a genuinely actionable way. Trick number 3 is one that makes people squirm a little, the guilt trap. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Logic is rarely what drives human beings to act. Emotion is. And among all the emotions that push people into action, guilt is one of the strongest. When someone feels they owe you something, their brain enters a kind of discomfort state. They want to restore balance. They want to clear the psychological debt. And a skilled manipulator knows exactly how to create that feeling. It doesn't have to be dramatic. It can be as simple as reminding someone of a past favor right before making a request. The timing is everything. He's not bringing it up to reminisce. He's bringing it up to activate the obligation reflex. She feels it instantly, even if she doesn't consciously recognize what's happening. The keys are in his hand before she's even had a chance to think it through. The guilt trap is particularly dangerous in close relationships because there's already an established history of give and take to draw from. Knowing how this works is genuinely protective. When you feel that sudden sense of obligation pulling you toward a decision, it's worth pausing and asking yourself whether the timing of that reminder is a coincidence or a strategy. Quick pause here, because I want to make sure you don't miss out on content like this in the future. Subscribe to this channel because we cover the kind of deep psychology, influence, and self-development content that doesn't show up in your average self-help book. We dig into the real mechanics of how human behavior works. Hit that subscribe button right now and you'll never miss a video. Also, while we're here, I want to mention something that fits perfectly with what we're discussing today. If you're watching this video, you're clearly someone who wants to understand themselves and the world around them more deeply. And you might already know that awareness alone isn't enough. You also need systems. That's exactly what the self-mastery system was built for. It's a complete personal development toolkit with 30 comprehensive guides and over 210 interactive tools designed to help you master your mindset, crush procrastination, build habits that actually stick, and design a life with real purpose. Think about it this way. You're learning right now how other people try to exploit psychological weaknesses. The self-mastery system helps you eliminate those weaknesses from the inside out. It takes you from self-doubt to genuine confidence, from scattered and overwhelmed to focused and effective. There's a limited time launch offer available right now, and you can find all the details in the description below. Check it out. It could genuinely be the turning point you've been looking for. Now back to the tricks, because we've got 2 more, and they get progressively more unsettling. Trick number 2 is false memory planting. This one is deeply rooted in how human memory actually functions, and the science behind it is both fascinating and alarming. Here's the thing most people don't know. Memory isn't like a video recording. It's reconstructive. Every time you recall something, your brain is essentially rebuilding it from fragments, filling in gaps with what feels plausible. That means memory is vulnerable. Repeat something with enough conviction, enough emotional detail, enough frequency, and people's brains start treating it as something they actually experienced. Politicians have used this for generations. They repeat a narrative about their accomplishments, paint it with vivid specifics, deliver it with the kind of passion that signals truth. And after hearing it enough times, people feel like they remember those things happening. It's not that they're all gullible. It's that their brains are doing exactly what brains are designed to do. We're story processing machines. We trust things that are told as stories because for most of human history, stories were how truth was passed down. The manipulator who understands this doesn't argue with you. He tells you a story over and over until it feels like your own memory. Recognizing this trick is powerful because it teaches you to verify, to question, and to separate what you actually know from what you've simply been told repeatedly. And remember that special value I promised at the beginning? We're almost there. Stay with me through trick number 1 because it might be the most powerful of all. Trick number 1, the power of silence. Most people are terrified of silence. We're wired to fill it. When a conversation goes quiet, something in us panics and rushes to speak, to explain, to fill the void. And that impulse, that very human discomfort with empty space, is one of the most potent tools a skilled influencer has at their disposal. Think about an interrogation scene. He looks at the other person steadily and says, "I already know what happened." Then he says nothing. The silence stretches, and the other person, unable to tolerate the pressure, starts talking. They fill the space with information, with justifications, with admissions they never intended to make. The same principle works in negotiations. She states her offer and then she goes completely quiet. The discomfort of silence pushes the other party to respond, often making concessions just to break the tension. Silence communicates confidence. It signals that you don't need to keep talking to justify your position. And perhaps most powerfully, it creates an invisible pressure that most people can't resist. Learning to sit comfortably in silence, to let it hang without flinching, is one of the most underrated power skills a person can develop. Now here's what I promised you. The special insight that ties all of this together. These 5 tricks, the illusion of choice, the yes ladder, the guilt trap, false memory planting, and the power of silence, all of them work by targeting the same fundamental thing. They exploit the gap between what we think we're doing and what we're actually doing. They work because most of us are operating on autopilot most of the time. We're reacting to social cues, emotional triggers, and deeply embedded habits without ever stopping to examine what's actually driving our responses. The real protection isn't just knowing the tricks. It's developing a level of self-awareness and mental clarity that makes you less reactive in the first place. When you know your emotional triggers, when you've built genuine confidence, when you have a clear sense of your own values and purpose, these techniques lose their grip on you. A guilt trap doesn't work on someone who already has strong boundaries. False memories don't stick as easily to someone who's trained themselves to think critically. The yes ladder loses its power on someone who's comfortable saying no. The deepest defense against psychological manipulation isn't suspicion, it's self-mastery. And that brings me back to something I mentioned earlier. The self-mastery system isn't just a productivity tool, it's a psychological armor builder. Those 30 guides and 210 plus interactive resources are designed to close the gaps that tricks like these try to exploit. When you're working on your mindset, building unshakable self-confidence, developing deep focus and clarity of purpose, you stop being an easy target. You start moving through the world with intention rather than reaction. There's no better time than now, because they've got a special launch price on the full bundle. Check the description below for all the details on the self-mastery system. It might genuinely be one of the best investments you make this year. So there you have it. 5 dark psychology tricks that powerful people use every single day. The illusion of choice, letting someone pick while you control the options. The yes ladder, building momentum with small agreements. The guilt trap, activating the obligation reflex through strategic reminders. False memory planting, repeating a story until it feels like truth. And the power of silence, using discomfort as leverage. Now that you know these, you'll start noticing them everywhere. In your workplace, in the media, in conversations you thought were just casual. And that awareness is the first step toward genuine freedom. Now, speaking of manipulation, there's a video coming up next on your screen right now about 7 rare manipulation tactics used by master manipulators, and you absolutely need to watch it, because it goes even deeper than what we covered today, revealing the kind of advanced techniques that most people never even hear about until it's too late. Don't let that be you. Click and watch it now.